The smartest guys around are about to break it down like they've won the game a million times.
Well, actually, they didn't really win the game at all.
Survivor know it all. Survivor know it all.
Survivor Know-It-Alls. I'm Rob Cesternino back here with Stephen Fishbach. Stephen, how are you?
Oh my God, it's so weird to be thawed out from my cryogenic deep freeze that I'm typically in between Survivor seasons.
I know. Well, you haven't gone in yet. And so Stephen is here to talk with us about the just announced Survivor 50 cast that everybody's been talking about. We had such a great response to our show yesterday, and we are ready to hear Stephen's takes and talk about everything else that we've learned over the last 24 hours here with you live on Thursday on a Survivor Know-It-Alls. And I'm very proud to say we have our first ever presenting sponsor for the Survivor Know-It-Alls, and it is Jolene Coffee. And this is an incredible story. This is a coffee company founded by somebody who maybe some people feel like should be on the cast of Survivor 50, has been left off more than a few of these all-star casts before. Shane Powers.
So cool. It's such a cool story. I read this, like when this launched about 2 weeks ago. I read the story of how he founded it based on his like deep and enduring friendship with Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, probably the coolest human being alive. I think, for me, growing up as a kid in Los Angeles, Anthony Kiedis was the coolest human alive. Apparently, they used to meet like all the time over coffee, and they had this idea that like all great ideas come from gathering together over coffee, and they've been developing this brand for years and years.
Yeah, that's not how we came up with the Survivor Know-It-Alls, but I guess all the great ideas.
Yeah, I probably was caffeinated at the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, Survivor Know-It-Alls today sponsored by Jolene Coffee. Get 15% off your first order of Jolene Coffee. Go to jolenecoffee.com. All right. Promo code Woodbury in honor of Shane for 15% off at jolenecoffee.com. All right. Stephen, so much excitement and drama, and really we've had run the gamut of all of the emotions on Survivor. Everybody has come out and said people are upset. Somehow people rejoice. How are you at this hour?
I'm good. So, Rob, I want to come out against all the negative, not all the negativity, but like most of the negativity. You know, I saw the Survivor cast and I was like, that's not my perfect cast. You know, I had people I would have liked in place of other people, yourself being one of them, you know. We can talk about that more in a second.
That's for the record. I just want to say, and I know there's been so much hand wringing in the Survivor community. Like that me not being there has not been my complaint at all.
Okay, but it's my complaint. It's not about you. It's about me as a viewer and a friend and a fan. Like a fan first of Rob Cesternino. Before I ever met you, I was a fan of Rob Cesternino. And then I got to know you a little bit, and that has been temporary time. But you know, no. Okay, let's start with this. I was going to start with positivity, but in fact, now I've got to start with negativity because this subject has been raised. There is no player who has done more for the franchise, I believe, than you. I mean, you could argue like Richard Hatch kind of like defined the identity of the show.
We're right there.
Like,
don't make this about
you
me.
have never been indicted. So between the two of you,
I appreciate. Don't make that much appreciated, my friend.
But that's my
Stephen
biggest
Fishbach's book, Escape at StephenFishbach.com.
Don't try to redirect me. Don't try to like.
You don't need to do this.
No, okay, but it is sincere, and it was not. I did not intend to go down this rabbit hole immediately. Eventually, it was. You know, gotta give props. I know you've gotten a lot of props. A lot of people are saying that, but truly, it is kind of crazy.
And I've been touched. I really have.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy that you of all people are not on the cast. I do think like everyone wants to see you play again. It's been so long. You did so badly your last time out, so humiliatingly badly. And we all wanted
You're telling me?
Yeah, a chance to return to redeem yourself. And like, you know, it would have been so fun to see you out there. Truly, truly. I'm bummed as a fan and as a friend. That was an oversight. That is an unforgivable oversight. However, I do feel like, so I had my like, you know, where did these come from? And I kind of, we'll talk about that. But I do feel like everybody is so mad at this season that it's like, how mostly there's a lot to love here. There's a lot to love. Everyone's got their favorites. You know, everyone's got their one that they're angry wasn't included. But like, I want to push back on this whole idea of, well, what we're really mad about is Jeff told us that this was going to be a celebration. And how can it be a celebration if there's nobody from the 20s? How can it be a celebration? You know, first of all, we just had a Survivor celebration. You know, season 40 was a celebration. That was a celebration. And it was kind of a middling to bad season, I believe. So like, and I think part of the problem with that season was that it was too much of a celebration. There was too much of like champagne clinking on the beach and like, look at us, we're all so great. And like, we got Edge of Extinction here so that nobody has to go home. We're all celebrating. Like, I want no celebration. I want like gritty, you know, face in the sand, mean fighting. I don't want celebration. I want like, you know, tough Survivor.
Do you feel like that we got a cast for mean, gritty, not a celebration, all fighting?
You can't have it both ways. You can't say this is not enough of a celebration and this is too much of a celebration.
Well, I'm just saying that you're saying like, okay, well, like I'm glad with what we got because it's not a celebration.
Yeah. Well, I just think that we just had a celebration 5. How many celebrations do people need? Like, what is a freaking celebration? It's a TV show about people backstabbing each other. Like, do we need? What is the like? You need cake? Like, what's going on?
So your issue is that you feel like, I don't know where people got this idea it was going to be a celebration of all of Survivor. That's what you're pushing back against?
Well, so I feel like that is kind of that has been sort of like the excuse almost. Like and you know, this is, I'm not only like responding to Kelly Wentworth, who didn't mention this, but she was like one of many. So this is not just about Kelly because and everyone's got their opinion. This is just my opinion. I feel like, you know, a month ago, 2 months ago, people were complaining that there was not enough New Era cast. It was, oh my gosh, we're seeing these same people we've seen over and over again. Do we really need to see these 4-time players? Like, I'm so sick of it. Let's do something new for season 50. Now that we're getting a lot of the New Era players, people are like, oh my gosh, where are the 4-time players? How come we don't have Malcolm out there? You know, like, it's like, no matter what they do, people are going to be like, we were promised the other thing. You know, and like, I got complaints. I do have complaints. I don't want this to be like full sucking kneecaps, but I do think that, you know, like, it's a little overdone, you know, and this was, you know, it's a good season. It's going to be good. I think like every single one of these people, I think is going to be exciting on like some for their merits. And it's like a mix of like these like legends of the game, like Cirie, with these like scrappy new players like Kamilla and Emily, with like, you know, the Macho Bros, you know, with, you know, you've got Jonathan and Joe, and then you've got like the super strategists like Charlie. And it's just like, it is a really interesting mix of different archetypes. They do span most of the you know, the scope of the show, starting with, you know, season 1, Jenna Lewis. I overall think it's kind of a good cast. Like there did seem to be sort of, yes, I'm like, there's people who I would have really liked to see out there. I would have loved to see Caroline. I don't know why Caroline wasn't cast. I would have loved to see Omer. And like the last, like, obviously, like everyone was mad about 48. And so like them coming in and saying, it kind of feels like an afterthought. These 3 people, you know, like, it's like, we don't have enough New Era players. Who should we cast? These 3 are right there. So it did feel like a little bit, but I'm overall kind of like positive on this group of people.
Okay. And look, I think in a vacuum, all the people I think are worthy of getting another chance to play. You bring up a good point, and I think that this is a question that maybe we might even get answered in the chat. Did Jeff ever say that this season was a celebration of all of Survivor history? Or
I think he did say at some point, like, we want this season to feel like a celebration. I think that word was used. I don't know, like all of Survivor history, it's an impossible bar. You know, people are saying like, it's not, you know, it's neither a New Era All-Stars, nor is it like all the legends. But it's like it's a little bit of both, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
to me, I just feel like it's giving Game Changers a little bit where, and especially in that, like, nice. And you got Cirie and Ozzy and Aubry. But you had it was a very top-heavy season, and then there was also the rest of the cast that we filled in with a bunch of random. Here's Haley Ford, here's Beast Mode Cowboy that are back for this season.
But I disagree because I don't feel like you have the Haley Ford or the Beast Mode Cowboy or the Game Changer Sierra Dawn Thomas here. I think every one of these people was exciting on their seasons in a way that, again, anytime you make a judgment about anybody, you're going to be like, how dare you say that thing about Haley? But, those players were all, in my mind, they were not the ones who defined their seasons. I think if you look at this group of players, every single one of them played hard and aggressively in some capacity on their seasons.
Okay. To me, I feel like this season, we have not had a returning player season in 6 years at this point. And I think that probably a miscalculation to not have done one.
Yeah.
So now we're sort of trying to jam 2 different returning player seasons into one. But the one that people were really excited about was the one where we were going to get to, for the last time, get to see so many of the people that define the show. And we got that in something. I haven't complained about the 4-timers that are in the cast because I think it is cool that we will get to see Cirie and Coach and even Ozzy. That's not the stuff that bothers me. It's the stuff about not getting to see people that are maybe this was their last chance that we were ever going to get them back on the show. Whereas these new era all-stars, they were not going anywhere. If Survivor 54 was going to be new era second chance, that all these people could have waited 2 years to be able to do it. We're never going to, at least unless there's hey, Survivor 60 is going to be the legend season. And now, here comes all these people that are getting now really long in the tooth. I don't know if that is even in the offing. Who knows where Survivor is by Survivor 60 or whatever magic number, 65, we're going to retire all these people. So I feel like that this was the literal 50 golden opportunity to have done that with these, the real, the Hall of Famers and have them come back out one more time. The new era people, you could have done it for 52. You could have done it for 54. Where were they going?
No,
Kyle wasn't going anywhere. Kyle probably would have loved to have had a year off and come back and play.
But who are you talking? So I agree with you. I would have loved to see someone like Sean Rector come back, right? That's the one that bums me out.
Would have been great.
Yes, I would have loved to see some of these big characters from the shows past that didn't get to play again. I would love to see Sean Rector coming back. I'm very excited to see Coach play for fourth time. It's been 27 seasons since Coach played last time.
Yes.
I am excited to see what Coach brings to the table now. I am actually not that excited to see what Cirie and Ozzy bring to the table. I am number one Cirie fan. Obviously not. People are going to dispute that because I'm about to say she shouldn't have been on this season.
Yeah.
But we've seen Cirie work her magic so many times. I want to see new things happen. I would love to see some of those classic players come. Cirie's going to be on, Survivor Australia versus the world this summer, and same with Ozzy. We've seen him so many times. Is he bringing something new that we have not seen before from Ozzy? That is I would be very happy with Sean Rector. I would love that. And again, Coach, I think is great, but I just don't think and again, I'm with you. Kyle, Kamilla, and Joe all from the last season, but literally every single all-star season is heavily weighted towards the recent casts. That's just a reality, they're all that way. I tweeted this, Cambodia was 9 people from the previous 3 seasons. Heroes, Villains, also heavily weighted for the previous seasons. You had freaking Randy and Sugar on that season because they were recent. No one's ever casting Randy and Sugar again. We had
that is a fair point that this is something that they have done in the past, but it's not hey, this is what we do on Survivor. This is a part of the show that we always bring back a ton of people from. Just because they've done it in the past doesn't mean that they had to do it for this particular season.
But I think it's just like the demand. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and also like, and you bring up Cirie and you bring up Ozzy, but I don't think anybody's saying that that's the problem with the cast. Like, why is Cirie here? Why is Ozzy here? I think that the issue that so many people like myself have is just that there's so many of the new people, and that we missed out on the Sean Rectors of the world because that we got in all these people who have only played in the last year or two, including people that have not even played yet. We haven't even seen them.
Well, but of course they're going to do someone from 49 to lead into 50. Like that, like to think that they wouldn't cast 2 people from 49 leading into 50 is, I feel like that's just like the only time that they didn't do that was with Samoa and Tahir's villains. And that was just because they only had like one that they liked, like it's, I guess like 25 into 26, you only had Malcolm from 25. Right. Like, yeah.
We didn't bring back Tommy Sheehan for Winners at War.
Right. Well, okay. That's fair. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's fair. But you had Nick Wilson. Well,
I guess, then that worked out great.
No, I'm just saying there's like,
go back to the well on that one.
It's like, I have people like come up to me and like, I'm the biggest Survivor fan in the whole world. I loved it when Sarah won Pearl Islands. I'm like, no, what? Like, no, like, there's this crazy like recency bias and like the vast viewers. You've got to like, tease them with the people they just saw.
No doubt. But do you think that like the average Survivor viewer is like so excited? Like, hey, that's the big season 50 that they've been talking about. They announced season 50 during Survivor 46. Everybody is so excited about it. Is everybody just like super pumped? Like the average Survivor fan on the street that, okay, oh great, who are they bringing back? And I'm sure they're excited about some of the names that we're talking about. But when we go through the list and it's so many people from the new era, and not all of them necessarily were slam dunk people that you have to have them back, it feels like, oh, but where's this person? Where was this person?
Yeah, no, look, and overall, like when I first saw the cast, I thought it's, but now the negativity has gotten so much that I felt like I needed to.
I can see what you're saying. The hate has gone too far. There are things to like.
Yes, overall, this was not my ideal cast. Like when I think of the new era people who I would like to see back, like this is not them for the most part. Truly, like, I was the fact that they didn't cast Omar is astounding to me. He was such a great character. He gives great confessionals. He's like strategic and chaotic. Like to me, Omar is like a perfect character. Like why on earth would you not cast Omar? Same with Carolyn. Like
you should cast him in some Blood on the Clock Tower videos.
Yeah, exactly. Go now but like, and the Carolyn too. Like I literally thought that Carolyn was 100% locked for this season.
Like, I mean, so did every single person in the world.
Yes. The fact that she is not on this season is legitimately shocking to me. And then, to your point, it is like, I mean, I don't know, but
there's 12 people from the new era. Carolyn did not make the cut. Jesse did not make the cut.
Right. I see Jesse more than Omar, to be honest with you. Like I loved Jesse as a character, but like in terms of like, I mean, but like whatever, like both of them I would have loved to have on this cast.
Okay.
And then you look at, the only person from 41 to 44 is John. That seems like a crazy oversight. And you're like, but like this, I don't know, like the negative is like, there's no one from the 20s. How could they do that? Who from the 20s are we so sad? I mean, Malcolm, like again, like Malcolm's played a lot. Like, do we need to see Malcolm again?
Abby Maria, Steven, come on.
Same thing. Like, do you need to see Abby do this?
We needed it. No,
you're pandering.
Like, she's coming. We need her on this podcast.
This is not cutting to the bone. This is Abby just being like, oh, you mess with me, you're dead. Like, we don't need people coming back and like doing their like greatest hits. I want to see something new.
That's what we need. We need greatest hits.
Oh my gosh. Bryce, actually, someone in the chat is saying Bryce. That is actually an oversight. I think Bryce would have been an amazing addition to this.
Would have been very fun.
Yes. That is a big miss.
All right, let's go through everybody here, and then we can get into a little bit more details on everything. And so yesterday, Mike Bloom and I, if you missed it, we went through it. We played Jeff's introduction to everybody. What did you do? Did you get up early to watch the thing at 8:30, or just check it out now?
Yeah, I watched it afterwards.
Okay.
Man, the chat is very anti me. I knew coming on here and being like, coming out with like positivity, It's just the negativities too. It's like, it's not my perfect
We'll take
cast.
questions from the chat later. Don't get, stay with me.
But I know, but like I do feel now I'm like, it's like I got a book to promote. I don't want to like piss people off here.
No, look, if you want to complain, you have to buy Stephen's book. Go to stephenfishbach.com. That's the rule. Okay. All right, here we go. Stephen, let's talk about our group of players. We have 2 from Survivor 49. I mean, you addressed this, that it's basically, this is a Survivor staple to have done it that way.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I would be more shocked if they didn't have anyone from 49 like leading into the new season. And especially like, I think we all know Riz God is going to be like the new defining face of the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you think? I mean, he's called Riz God and he talks about himself as the Riz God. Like, what else is there? I feel like if he just says that in every confessional, I'm in.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, that's hilarious to hear you even say the word. So, I mean,
can you believe that for the next 2 seasons, we're going to have to be talking about someone called the Riz God? Like, what the heck?
I know. All right. Let's go to then. All right. Survivor 48 people. Okay. Here he is. Let's bring in Joseph.
Yeah. There was no way Joe was not. I said that they should not cast Joe. You called Joe being on 50. You brought that into. You manifested that.
Yeah, I feel like of the 48 people, I think that Joe is the person that I can see the most. Where Joe, that he just like had this moment that really transcended the game. Everybody, he really, I think, was a figure that transcended Survivor. So yeah. I say. I was not surprised by Joe. It is what it is. I just don't think that Joe's the type of player that on a returning player season, like a Rupert, there's one gear to Joe. Like Joe's going to come into the new season and be Joe again, especially with 0 distance in between this and the last time he played. So I think that Survivor is fine with that of like, we love Joe just as he is. He doesn't need to have a different layer in the game. But to see Joe win this season would be wild.
Joe is the person I think is honestly one of the least likely people to win this season right now. I mean, I am slightly surprised that they brought him back. I really felt like we got like as much, and I hear you, like he's extremely popular right now. Probably a lot of casual fans are really excited to see him. But I watched his interviews with you and Mike. Joe does not give the pithy soundbite. He is very like he is not a good confessional giver, as you can just tell from his interviews and the fact that he was like hugely under-edited on the show. And I don't think that he's going to bring another strategic layer based on what we've seen. I feel like we saw like Joe in his pure form in 48. And I don't think, like, to me, Joe is actually kind of a miss here because I get why they had to do it, but like, why not it's such a competitive spot. Like there's so many other people I would like to have seen
Joe
there.
And Eva should have been on The Amazing Race. I think that they really missed the boat with that. I think that Joe without Eva, I think that Joe was like a protector. He's somebody like, I don't think that any of these people that are going to be on this season need protecting. They aren't like looking for a father figure, like an older brother to protect them in the game. I think that all of these people are going to be like fiercely like independent and not in need of a Joe protector type.
Do you think he's going to be like really aggressively seeking out someone to protect? Do you think he is going to like try to protect Emily Flippin? That's my dream partnership.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she'll play to that. I mean, as we saw with Caleb, she will play to that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Joe, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm so distressed. Like, Emily, trust me. I got you. I got you in this game, Emily Flippin.
Yeah. I see Joe as like looking to bro down just like he did in 48. You know, he's going to be looking at the Jonathans, the coaches. Obviously, he's got Kyle there. You know, I think that, I mean, I can imagine like obviously Colby, you know, that's what production wants to happen, right? Yeah. Like I remember JT in Heroes versus Villains was like when JT teamed up with Colby and Tom, you know, they were like salivating, he said. So I think that's probably what they want to happen.
Do you think it's going to be old school versus new school? You think they're going to do 2 tribes? You think they'll do 3 tribes of 8?
I bet they have to mix it because the 40 was such like an old school apocalypse. I think they've got to mix it up a little bit.
I feel like that I could see them doing like starting with 2 groups of 12 and then very quickly, like almost like in Game Changers, maybe after 2 votes, go to 3 tribes of, or maybe, 3 tribes of 7 and send somebody to like Redemption Island or whatever.
But they love 3 tribes. I think they're going to start with 3, and then 2 tribes going to try. The rumor is right, like 2 tribes. I don't know where that rumor came from. Like
I mean, I think that people are just saying like, what, there's 12 people from the old school and 12 people from the new school. I don't know if it's necessarily like a rumor.
Oh no, but I mean that the structure will be both tribes going to tribal council every week, like 3 tribes.
I think that what's happening is that people are doing math.
Counting.
There are 24 people in 26 days. So how do you make the math work? I wouldn't say it's a rumor.
Yeah, there's just that's going to be a lot of content, I gotta say.
But for some of these people, you come back and it's like you go out in like one of 2 tribal councils, like in an episode. Like I feel like it could potentially be like, okay, you blink and they're gone off the show.
Yeah, that's it. And like that's why when we get to Kyle, I'm going to say this thing. Well, I'll just say it now. Hey, Kyle, I feel bad for Kyle. Like Kyle has just won Survivor. What an accomplishment. Like he should be like going to parties, like being like, cock of the walk. Do people say that? Cock of the walk? King
Not
of the
that
mountain?
often. Yeah.
And instead he's going to go back on Survivor and like, let this not be true. Touch wood. He's going to be like 12th place on Survivor 50,
If he's lucky.
Like, if he's lucky. Yes. Adam, like that's doing better than half the field, to go from being like the winner and not even getting a chance to, enjoy that. Like the likelihood that he wins again, very slim. And so like then to suddenly like come back and like do middling and just be filled with regret, that kind of sucks.
I was like, why couldn't we have left 2 weeks ago? But
exactly.
Steven, this was the one that I complained about the most on Wednesday. I said this was my biggest problem in the whole cast was Kyle, who is a great guy. This is not an anti-Kyle the person take, but I felt like to have 3 people from Survivor 48 and to bring back a winner, bring back somebody to bring back his secret number 1 and his public number 1. What are we even doing? What is like the upside here for Kyle? It feels like a wasted spot to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, maybe they're thinking that all of these old schoolers have so many connections to each other. You look at that chain with like Cirie and Ozzy who have played together so many times, but the old schoolers are going to need every advantage they've got. I mean, I do think Cirie will probably do well because she always does well. But I do think I agree with you. This was like my biggest complaint too. It was like these 3 just being like lifted up, basically from the seats at the Final Four and like placed. And it did feel like an afterthought of, we need some new school players. There they are. So like especially when there's so many new school players who we, do feel like deserving and we have wanted to see, I do think this was a miss.
Okay.
But I'm excited. I think he'll be fun.
And Kamilla.
Yeah, and Kamilla. Kamilla, actually, I'm like more excited for than Kyle. Like so much of what we've said over the past, over the whole past season was how much better Kamilla would do in a different season that wasn't all about like the strong bros being, honor and integrity. I think it will be really fun to watch Kamilla play in this season. That said, like if I had to choose between Kamilla and Carolyn, I probably would go Carolyn.
Of the 3 of them, I think Kamilla is the person that has the chance to potentially really play a very fun, exciting, chaotic game and bring a lot to the season. So, but I just think that Kamilla, based off of what we saw in Survivor 48, where, I'm a huge Kamilla fan.
Yeah.
If we were going to say, who were the biggest characters in Survivor 48? If we were going to, if you were looking at the poster for Survivor 48 and it was a movie, what billing on the poster would Kamilla be?
Yeah. No, I mean, she's like,
would she be the 5th lead, the 6th lead?
Right. So you've got like, obviously
Joe
Starring
Hunter, Kyle, whatever. Like Eva, whatever.
Right. And then so Camilla's probably 4. David and Kamilla also featuring David and Kamilla. Yeah. But here's what I like about Kamilla. And because I agree with you, but I think what Kamilla brings is like a different type of play style. And what I see in this cast is a lot of different play styles that they've cast. Like if you cast Carolyn here, like, and who I again like think should have been cast, like, Camilla's kind of like the scrappy underdog schemer type. There aren't actually a lot of those in this group. I know that New Era Survivor is all scrappy underdog schemers, but like there aren't too many of those. Looking at this, you got maybe like Aubry is that archetype, like Emily a little bit, but not, even who else? Who else is that? Like maybe Charlie, I guess. Like, but who else?
Yeah, I feel like as if we're looking to replace her with another woman from the new era, like I think that I don't know if you want it like Rachel in that spot, but it's like, to me, it's just like,
Rachel would be
not
good.
If we're talking about this is Survivor 50. This is Survivor 50. Like Kamilla had a nice run in Survivor 48.
Yeah. It's definitely okay. Yes, it's definitely going to be one of the ones where you are like, you're looking back and are like, how did that happen? Or, she's gonna win.
Yeah. Look, I this is not anything about, like, I think she could be. I think that there's a chance she ends up being a very early boot where they break up Kyle and Kamilla and they choose to keep the challenge strength in Kyle. And I do think that could be a very. I think Kyle should fall on his sword because he owes one to Kamilla if that's going to happen. But that being said, I would love to see her do well in the game because I think she is a very fun player to watch. But I just think that this was Survivor 50.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but again, like looking at the group of play styles, it's just like, I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a really fun season. I don't want to be toxically optimistic here, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have Genevieve.
You're gonna all regret, chat. You're gonna regret.
Here's the thing: all this is being
all
recorded,
your negativity.
so when they do well, and these people become like,
this is the greatest season,
and the same people that are booing you are standing Queen Kamilla, greatest player of all time.
Nobody's gonna care. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you were wrong then for reasons, and you're wrong now for other reasons."
Yeah,
people complain. That's what social media is for these days.
I really felt like that Genevieve did seem like a lock for an all-star after she played. It'll be interesting to see what Genevieve is going to be able to do here. Look, I guess if we're gonna have new era people, I feel we could do worse than Genevieve, who I think will be very, very fun to watch play. I think she might have a hard time finding her footing.
Genevieve, I think, is, agreed. Like, this is one of the ones that I think everyone sort of agrees is a great choice from the new era. She was a super fun contestant. She's got great energy, a lot of positivity. Like, when you're bringing back people from this group, Genevieve's, and, she was strategic. She played well. She was like a joy to watch. Like nobody is complaining about Jen. Oh, there probably are people, but like nobody I know is complaining.
I think people are complaining like, oh, there's too many people from the new era. Did you need Genevieve right away? But Stephen, I compared her yesterday to, I thought she might have a run like Kim Spradlin in Winners at War, where everybody's kind of afraid to get close to her. And then she like ends up going out around like 8th place, but never really finding her people.
Yeah, I don't know though, because she's so charming, like she's just got and she's very, very smart. I played Clock Tower with her. She's like an absolute natural at Clock Tower. And that's the bar. That's the standard. But I don't know. But I don't think
else is here from her cast.
But I don't think she is. In some ways, those disadvantages could be advantages for her, where she is well liked, but she doesn't feel like, oh gosh, we've got to get rid of her. She's not like Kamilla, who we just had saying about how she loved to lie to people and throw them under the bus. Genevieve like seems just like a nice Canadian lady. And she's not someone like, oh, we got to get rid of those devious old schoolers because they're all connected, or they're got to get rid of those 48ers. Like, there's no reason out of the gate to target Genevieve.
Okay. We got Charlie.
Oh, like the should we talk about like the people who are not here? Like, are we surprised that Andy is not here from 47? Because
I was very surprised to not have Andy here. I feel like that Andy coming out of his season, I feel like the Operation Italy, he played so hard. He had such a story arc. I mean, I feel like that there's not a lot of people on the show where that they love that they have an arc of like where they started to where they went, but then also to have the mind to make a big move. And in Andy, I felt like that you really had a perfect person in that. So I do feel like that it was an oversight not to have Andy.
Yeah, I honestly, like, even just doing a 1-to-1, I actually think Andy would be a better cast here than Charlie. Charlie, whom I loved and do want to see back and think should come back in a new era season. But well, first of all, there's just something a little on the nose. Like, if I had to choose like one, spiky haired white guy to be on this season. It's you, Rob. It's you. If there's
we're not even the same archetype.
You're both spiky haired, and you've been working on your grip strength.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you both have sort of floral shirts kind of right now.
I am worried about Charlie. I think that he is seen as probably a big threat. And so I think that Charlie is a super nice guy. I hope he does well. I would have rather seen him on a New Era All-Stars than a Survivor 50 spot, but can't complain too much about Charlie.
Yeah. I mean, a good player. Yes. But again, like this is where it gets, and this is like the big trio of 46ers. You start to wonder, why did we not have Shan, or why did we not have Omer? So Tiffany is next up.
Okay, here's Tiffany. I'll ask you the same question. Okay, Survivor 46 poster. Okay, the movie of Survivor 46. In what order is Tiffany Nicole Irvin billed on the Survivor 46 poster?
Yeah. I mean, fifth, we got, who's up there? It's
starring
like Kenzie, Q, starring Q. Yeah.
Starring Q is the top billing.
Yeah. Okay? Then you've got like Kenzie, Charlie, and Maria.
Mm-hmm.
People get mad when I say Maria. You can't even say Maria's name.
You can't even say Maria?
You start to frown. Well, I don't know. I said Maria. You started frowning.
I didn't. I don't care.
I thought Maria did great. No, I agree with you, but I also think this is someone who would come back in a New Era All-Stars and would be a very fun cast.
She would be, I think, my winner pick in a New Era All-Stars. I just don't know why we had to rush to, that. And I really like Tiffany. I had a great podcast with her, but she wasn't going anywhere. Like you could, if you waited 2 years and brought her back for a New Era All-Stars, I would be championing it.
Yeah, but I think some of it with some of these groups is like they want groups to bounce off each other, right? Like you want people out there who have history. So you get Tiffany and Q on, together. Like, are they on a tribe together? Are they opposing each other? Are people worried about what happens when they come back to the merge? It's the same thing with that 3 from 48. Like having people grouped together who have history adds a whole nother layer of tension. So you're bringing Q back, right? So who are we bringing back with Q? And then it's like, is it, Tiffany is like a really good choice for that.
This is a fair point. And I actually made this same point to a friend of mine who said, like, are we worried Q won't have people to fight with on the show?
But I think like, oh my gosh, you got me last time, Q. You're not going to do it again, but you're the only person I know out here. Like, that's a fun dynamic. I mean, in Cambodia, it was like Spencer and Cass, like you want to see those pairs. And I think just like that adds a lot to the fun of these returning player seasons. If it's just like random guy, I guess Jonathan, it's like, and Jonathan, like his shtick isn't even like his alliances. His shtick is just being like big and strong. Like Jonathan's going to do his thing, but like, it's almost like casting. You don't want to cast Omer almost without Marianne. They got to bring those two back together. And I think that's probably part of this. Like they're bringing Q back, so they got to bring back someone for him to bounce off of.
Okay. All right. Then there's Q. No complaints here. Universally 100% approval rating for Q. Anything else you want to say about Q?
No, he was the number one person from New Era that I thought would be brought back. Like him and Carolyn were top two, so I was wrong 50%. But Q is like felt like the biggest lot.
I mean, Gabe asked the question. Gabe said in the opening of Survivor 47, or in the tease for Survivor 47, I'm going to be on the New Era of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And so we asked the question at the time, well, who is on the New Era of Mount Rushmore? And I think for me, I said, okay, well, we have Q, Carolyn, Jesse, and then I think the fourth spot is maybe up for debate. But now I think that the entire Mount Rushmore now needs to be
debatable. Yeah.
Open it up.
Yeah.
Who is it now? Kyle and Joe and Kamilla?
Oh yeah. Do you think they cast Aubry because Q is going to be there?
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, we'll get to Aubry when we get there, but I think that is just like a little coincidence. I don't think that it was like Q is like ranting about Aubry when he's like meeting with the producers.
Yeah, but they've got that clip ready. They're like, play the clip. They're ready with
it will be in an episode for sure, but we'll see. Okay. All right. And then Emily Flippin is here.
Amazing. Yeah. The only person from 45, sorry, that's not true at all. Dee's here. One of the 2 people from 45. Emily is great. I'm really, really, really excited to see Emily play. Emily does this thing in Clock Tower that I think, and that we saw her doing it. I didn't realize it at the time, but she did it in 45, where she's like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just a dodo.
I'm so confused.
And
I don't know anything.
I think people will buy it. Like, she is so effing smart.
I'm so
She
nervous.
so
oh my God, why am I here?
And yet she plays it down so well that even like literally, watch our latest Clock Tower episode. Watch our latest Clock Tower episode. Like, you buy it. Like, even knowing she's doing it,
I don't buy it.
You still get misted by it. She is so good at that act that you can see the tokens, Rob. You've got an unfair advantage. And then she's so strategic. I did a panel with her at Clock Tower Con, and we were talking about, like, is there any morality when you go out and play these shows? And of course, I, being a sad, or like a soft, it's not sad, but a soft, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That actually is a sort of classic Freudian slip. A soft-hearted, like, middle-aged dad. I was like, well, of course you've got to, like, take people's feelings into account, and while you do have to make the tough decisions, like, I do think you need to personally reckon with it. And she's like, no, you cut throats, screw them all, death to those around me. I think Emily is going to go in with, like, severely underestimated, and I think she's going to, like, wreak a trail of destruction.
Oh, you think severely underestimated?
Yeah, because, like, people don't remember Emily necessarily as, like, she voted out Bruce. Nobody thinks of Emily as, some, like, huge player. And I think people don't, they remember her, like, being somewhat, like, obstreperous in the opening, and they remember her, like, eventually finding her way and then having, like, a growth moment, deciding she wanted to get married. But, like, nobody thinks of her like, oh, that's the cutthroat person.
Yeah, well, I think that she is going to be very closely connected to the next person in our slideshow here. Another person that I feel like great winner, but when you brought in 2 winners, I really just feel like you completely just lost the plot where it was no winners. It was no winners. Why did we bring in winners at the last second?
But this is what I'm talking about. People look like,
if so, then where are some of these other winners? Like, I feel like there would have been a lot of other winners we would have had, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you that it makes it feel kind of random. Like, why do you not have some of, like, why do you not have Tony, or Sandra? Yeah, you'd be Sandra. I mean, like, who would be the winners?
Why don't you have
Riz God will be there.
Where's Earl?
Yeah, Earl actually would be a good one. Earl actually would be a really good one. But maybe we do have 3 winners. Like, maybe it's 1 winner per tribe.
Perhaps. Yeah. Maybe. I just like
Jam. Someone is Cryoza. Jam is one of, like, my big oversights too. I think Jam is, like, not having Jam is a big miss. I feel like Jam was such a fun, big character, a great player. He was, like, just like a joy to watch him play. I feel like he would be, like, perfect for this, like, whole idea of it being a celebration, for them looking for, like, players who were, like, positive and enthusiastic. I feel like Jam, like, not being here is a miss. That, of course, has nothing to do with D, who's, like, arguably one of the best players of the new era. And then most people say, like, if there's a best player in the new era, like, D is up there, right? People are saying D is probably one of, like, the one or two of the best. So why wouldn't you bring back 1 or 2, like, that person?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I can say about this.
Is Dee going to do good? Is she going to do well there?
I think it really comes down to what the tribe breakdown is, because I could see there being some sort of, like, anti-winner sentiment. But I think that if it ends up being all new versus old, then I kind of feel like that Dee and Kyle are going to need to work together and have each other's back. And I wonder maybe if this could be more bad news for Kamilla, where that, okay, so we got to break up Kyle and Kamilla somehow. And also then it's like, well, Dee's like, well, I don't want Kyle to go because I want to keep him. And then Kamilla ends up sort of, like, being scapegoated in that Kyle ends up being saved and Kamilla ends up being the person who, well, she's not really helping us in the challenges, and that they end up looking at her as a potential first boot.
Yeah. I mean, the anti-winner thing that's something. I mean, obviously Jenna Lewis is going to be there.
Yes.
Who really created that. But I don't feel like the players, that's your all-stars talking, Rob. I don't feel like the players feel that way anymore. Do they? Has there ever been like, I mean, nobody really cared in, I don't know, some other season.
Yeah.
where there were winners.
I kind of feel like they care. I feel like the people are still a little salty about, they've won already. And if not even just for like, hey, I'm jealous of their money. It's like they're a dangerous player.
Yeah, but if you're thinking like if other people are going to be mad at that, isn't that then the kind of person you want to bring with you to the end?
And I'll tell you what, that Joe's hot take on Survivor 48, they asked like, and I don't know if we have a photo of this, that he said that, Dee's win was not that good. I feel like that there could be some feuding between Dee and Joe.
It's funny that then like the exact same, like basically he got D'd in the finale of, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then also we have Jonathan.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm going to say something that this is, okay, maybe you could push back on me, and this is going to be a controversial take. I think that if, I feel like to your point that you've been saying about how like, hey, all these people watch the show, the people on the street don't really know who's going on. I think that while the fans that are probably in the chat maybe like whatever were very whatever on Jonathan, I think he made a big impression on the TV audience, and I think that there will be a lot of viewers of the show that will be excited to see Jonathan back.
Hey, listen, I'm one of them. You know me, I love a giant dude. Like, I am actually excited about Jonathan. He just like, some of the appeal of Survivor is just the pure, physicality of it. It's like stepping into the wild and doing these crazy things. And I think it's fun to have players who embody that aspect of the game. And Jonathan is obviously one of them. You have Ozzy, here, who's one of them. Colby, who at one point was one of them, and Coach, who deludes himself into thinking he's one of them. So I feel like there is a lot of like fun and intrigue here for a character like Jonathan to, I'm excited to have different play styles, basically.
Yeah. And that's not a Rob Cesternino pick in that I need Jonathan on this season, but it is a Rob Cesternino call from go back to a year ago when we did the draft the cast of Survivor 50. And I drafted Jonathan because I said, they love this guy. He will be back.
Yeah. I mean, and like he's too, like kind of what I was saying about you want people who can bounce off of each other. With Jonathan, you don't really need that. It's not like Jonathan needs Mike around to be Jonathan. He doesn't need Omer around to be Jonathan. Like his Jonathanness is entirely self-contained.
Let's go to the old era. Okay.
Yes.
And yes. Okay. I know you are stoked for Rick Devens.
I am stoked for Rick Devens. And this is one of the ones, this is to me like the no-brainer, right? Like this is the guy, like one of these guys. You're narrowing your eyes. Really? Wait, okay. First of all, like Rick was one of the biggest characters of the 30s, right? And in that era, in that like now what is characterized as old school era, that like never got a chance to come back. To me, Rick has always been, a big Survivor character. Like, and when we're talking about bringing out those people from the first 40 seasons who never got their shot at an all-star game, to me, Rick is a no-brainer. He was super funny, I thought. He remains super funny, and he played a great game. He like had, he played like a really good, fun, strategic game. It had like big moments. Like what is not to like? There was a lot of hostility to Rick as a player because I think people just assumed he was going to win. And I think people were like getting tired of all the Rick in their face. But ultimately he didn't win. And I'm just like really psyched for him. And also he's like a great human being, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I think it's fine to have Rick Devens. I feel like that if you didn't have Rick Devens, I don't think that there would be people out with pitchforks like, what? Where is Rick Devens? Why isn't he on this cast? I think that probably if there was an all-star season before this, I think he should have been on it. But I feel like that I think it would have been fine either way. So I'm kind of like indifferent on the Rick Devens pick. It doesn't bother me, but I also think that it wasn't a must-have.
See, but I to me, it's like if you're gonna bring back people from that late 30s era, like it's like Rick, and then Christian and Angelina. Like that's it. Like who else like needs to come back from that era? And obviously I'm super excited about Mike. Yeah. But I mean
Damabate.
Yeah, Dom would also be a really good one to have. Dom is an oversight. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then Mike White.
Yeah. Obviously this is going to be really fun. I think that, it's been said, but Mike is probably the favorite to win this season right now. Because obviously everyone has made the joke about like, well, you all are going to want to align with Mike because you want to, for that White Lotus cameo. And that's true. But even more than like aligning with him, I feel like is that jury vote at the end where like everyone, when you're on the jury, you're like, I hate all these people. I don't want to vote for any of them. Like, why would I choose any of these three people? Now if Mike is there, now you actually have an incentive to vote for one of them. You're like, if I vote for Kamilla, she's not going to cast me on her series, but like I'm incentivized to vote for Mike to win here. And so I think like if Mike is at the end, like again, and who's cutting him, right? Then people are going to choose him to win.
I just wonder if like that's how we think it's all going to go, and I feel like we're always so wrong on how it's all going to go. Like we did not, if we would have done this right before, like when they left for Winners at War, it was all right. Tony, no chance that nobody's letting him get close to the end. So we just don't know. Sure, on paper, that's going to be the case, but like at some point, the players might say like, okay, well, we got to stop Mike White while we can. And so maybe they end up doing that. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Who knows how it will actually play out?
Who is the person though? Like, I think like, probably the correct strategy is to blindside him early before he can get his hooks into other people. I can see that from like Emily just being as,
push back on that.
Let me push back. Yeah.
I can see that.
Emily.
Jenna Lewis, I think also could be unimpressed. I think Cirie is an interesting one to watch with Mike White. Like, does Cirie covet being on the White Lotus?
Cirie, who hates television. We know she hates to be on TV. Yeah.
I think that's also an interesting one.
Yeah. That is an interesting one. I agree with you, but she might see the downside to Mike being there at the end. So I don't know. I'm excited for Mike. Mike was very fun as a character in addition to obviously the White Lotus stuff. Like he was hilarious, gave great confessionals.
Look, if Mike White wants to come back for Survivor 50, you let Mike White come back for Survivor 50.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I'm excited to see him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Angelina again, slam dunk.
This is number one.
Like
Christian and Angelina and maybe Angelina at the top, like mid-30s. Like this is number one.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to say. Angelina.
Yeah. Like, so I saw her post on Instagram, like a montage of all of the jackets that she is planning to bring with her. Surely as like a wardrobe consultant, your job is to make sure Angelina does not have a jacket.
You think so? I think they give them a lot of jackets now.
Yeah. I don't know. Angelina was great because she was not self-aware, right? Like that's what was really fun about Angelina. It was like she would say these extremely unself-aware things. So I think the upside to Angelina is that she is just innately that way and will bring that. I think the downside might be like Coach in his like later incarnations where like he was performing Coach more than he was being himself. Like in my like a lot of people, I mean, I loved Heroes vs. Villains Coach. Like, there's a lot of great moments there, but it's obvious like he's doing the shtick. Whereas Tocantins era Coach, he was being Coach, and that was just like sublime, whereas it became kind of like second tier of that.
It'll be interesting to see if it still works as a character where I feel like that I was talking about this recently in terms of Coach and his original run in Tocantins, that they could edit somebody to be a little bit of a caricature at that point in time, whereas that is really not the editing style of the show in the new era. So it will be interesting to see how Angelina is portrayed.
That's absolutely correct. So I'm trying to think, like, have they gone goofy on anybody in the last couple?
Rome, I think, might have been the one person.
Yeah. And but they're doing more like fun editorial stuff. But you're right, they're not like clowning people like they used to.
Although
which I support, by the way.
Yeah, I do think that Mike is also going to be there to wind her up at times. So we'll see. I think that he will help get the best out of Angelina.
Yeah, that will be really fun. So do you cast Mike and Angelina on the same tribe, or yes, right? Because you want to see them. Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, all right. And then we have also our friend Christian Hubicki, a no-brainer.
Yeah, a no-brainer.
A big brainer.
Big brainer. Christian, obviously someone who I'm sure was just like instant call, top list for this season. Someone who was such a huge character on his show, and really like the perfect character to be on David versus Goliath. He just like felt like the quintessential, embodiment of the theme of that. Like Christian versus John Hennigan was David versus Goliath. But yeah, like a great guy, like very astute survivor. Survivor instincts and strategic reads, also like a very sincere guy in a way. Like he's like a really, really
very
sincere,
sweet guy,
kind guy. Like in this way, like I'm worried about my Clock Tower alliance with like Christian and Emily, because like I think Christian will get the short end of that straw. Like Christian will like believe that he has a real friendship with Emily, and Emily will cut him at the
How do you think he's going to do, Stephen?
I think people, especially new era people, will want to work with Christian because they like him. He's like a prototype of the new era nerd, right? Like we're all nerds now, but back then Christian was like a super nerd. I think he will, and I don't think he will have the same huge threat level that he did in David versus Goliath, where like he was like super David. You don't let like David get to the end of David versus Goliath.
Yeah, I'm worried for him.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm worried. I don't know if that he's Jenna Lewis's cup of tea. I don't know if he's Colby's cup of tea. I don't know if he's Cirie's cup of tea. Coach, he has so much baggage with Cochran. The coach is going to be a fan.
I will talk about this. I think Coach is going to put on a show, and I think like Christian is going to be like Christian is an archetype, and I think Coach is going to want like Coach is going to be like next level theater, Coach theater.
Ozzy's cup of tea. I don't know. So I just feel like that I'm more worried about him from some of these old school players who might be looking at him as sort of like the math guy. He's got it all figured out. And I think that just because he knows math doesn't necessarily mean he's sneaky. And I think that he could be maybe somebody who ends up getting some target thrown his way. Maybe, Mike and Angelina will go to bat for him.
Yeah, I mean, he is not sneaky. that is, which people probably don't realize. I think you're right. Like he has the downside of seeming strategic and he's very like thoughtful and strategic, but he's not like, I don't think he's devious or sneaky. He's like too earnest maybe and too kind.
Sincere. Right.
Yeah. It's not a great, you need to be a sociopath for Survivor. And that's why Emily Flippin is going to take it.
All right. We've got Chrissy Hoffbeck.
Yeah. Excited to see Chrissy back. Very, she had a great run on her first season and, did amazingly in the immunity challenges, really kind of like put the lie to the sort of older woman. Sort of like, I think there had been and remained to have been like a lot of recent seasons where sort of that the older woman archetype had kind of like been dismissed in the finals. And the fact that she was right there and like, getting votes and highly competitive to win, and many believe should have won, really speaks to her being a great cast.
To me, the Chrissy pick is like in the same category as like Rick, where I'm not mad at it and I'm happy for Chrissy. But if Chrissy Hoffbeck was not on the Survivor 50 cast, I do not think that there would be a lot of protest of what? Survivor 50? No Chrissy? Well, what the hell?
But then who are these people? You're like, what about these people who this was their last chance? Like Chrissy is that person. Like who are these people other than Sean Rector, who you're referring to, who they didn't cast?
I think I would have rather seen Jerry.
Really? Jerry for the fourth time, who like brought like very little to the table in Heroes versus Villains? Like Chrissy's gonna like
she almost won the game. She got like a 1 day short of what Chrissy did.
But she wasn't like driving that season in the way that Chrissy was. Like Chrissy was like
Chrissy was driving the season?
Yes, with her alliance with Ryan was one of like the biggest, strategic duos of that whole season. I mean, Ben also like hugely influential there. People, underestimate Ben's game in that season. But like, Chrissy and Ryan were like kind of running that season. Chrissy had like a dominant immunity challenge.
They didn't like her. That's why she didn't win.
Yeah, but like that's likability. That's a third rail. I think like and Jerry is so likable. You're like replace her with Jerry, who we've seen 3 times.
Where's
and who
Amanda?
Like was like also who we saw 3 times. Like I'm much more excited to see Chrissy play a second time than like
I'm worried about Chrissy.
I'm bummed to not see Amanda, but like I do not need to see Jerry X4. Like, I feel like she didn't bring that much to the table the last time we saw her.
Who didn't?
Jerry.
Yeah. I just feel I'm sort of worried about Chrissy. I feel like that she doesn't have a ton of social connections to this group. And I feel like that she is going to be an early boot on this season. So I'm happy for Chrissy that she got back and she has a great story. And so, again, happy for Chrissy personally. I just feel like that we got 6 women from pre-Survivor 40 to see one more time. Like Chrissy was not like in my top 20.
But then who are they? You're giving me Jerry and Amanda. I can't buy. It's like give me someone like fresh. Like I can't. I mean, look, it sounds like that's a fundamental difference, right? Like you want these boring 5-time players to like trot out the same garbage we've seen again and again. I want fresh. This is like one of like where this is in the hands of the fans. Do you want to see the same shtick you've seen again and again, or new fresh players who have something to prove and are willing to fight for it all?
Yeah. What's Chrissy's best TV moment?
One of those challenge wins, something with the idol. Weren't they like digging for an idol or something? There was something with Ryan where they were digging.
She'd wrestle, I think.
Wrestling for an idol. Yeah, that was a big moment. She's gonna wrestle for it, and she's lovely. She's lovely. People didn't like her. That's on them. That's on those people because she's lovely.
Okay. All right. Then Aubry Bracco.
Yeah. I am of 2 minds about Aubry. I think that it's great that they are bringing a range of archetypes back, but and it's fun. I think she'll be fun, but like she's kind of my like, do I need to see Aubry times 4? Like again, like that's sort of like my benchmark. Like I would rather see Sean Rector over Aubry. I know that they're not competing for the same spot.
Yeah, I do feel like that Aubry. I do think we've seen it, and the difference between like an Aubry and say like Amanda, it's like Aubry played like 3 times in a very short period of time, but that was only like 6 years ago. Like it wasn't like that was 15 years ago since we've seen Aubry. So I feel like we've barely had a chance to seriously miss Aubry since the last time she went back. And so here she is. And so I know some people are really big Aubry heads and Aubry fans. So I'm happy for them. But I mean, this was supposed to be Amanda, right?
Yeah. I think, we kind of like missed the people they didn't cast. I mean, we've sort of been talking about them along the way. Them not casting Shan, I think, is crazy. I know that Shan, like post show, there was like some drama around Shan, but in 41, we were talking about how Shan was one of the biggest character strategists they'd ever had, and such a big defining player of this whole new era. Like, if I want, like, for that kind of strategist role, I kind of would rather see Shan here. Then you can like take one of the other old school spots that we don't like, give it, give someone else's spot from the old school to Sean. Like you can do a whole mix up here, but I feel like I would rather have Shan than Aubry.
Well, I think that it's probably Shan over Tiffany if we're going to like be trying to like sub somebody out.
Well, okay, then Shan over Tiffany. I mean, I think Shan was such a big character, and she even had like the Shantham. They gave her like a custom, a custom theme song. The fact that she's not here, I feel like is a miss. But again, who knows what Shan is like now? Obviously, I just hear like third degree rumors, that like maybe people didn't like her as much post show.
Okay. All right. Coach is here. Stephen, your great friend, Coach is back, and I'm excited for Coach 4.0.
Yeah, I am actually, like, in terms of like the 3-time players, I'm probably most excited for Coach. I think Coach is really going to put on a show. I think that, Coach has not played for 27 seasons. He played 3 times back to back. He played 18, 20, and 23. That's a span of like 3 years. And so he has had a lot of time to come up with new quotes, new styles, new crazy things to say. And I'm sure every night before he goes to sleep, he's been like, if I were on Survivor now, here's what I would do with my jacket. Oh, give it. Oh my God, a jacket. Then he's got a jacket. Someone needs a jacket. This is an opportunity. I do think that Coach is going to be very fun. I think Coach will be theatrical in a really fun way. Coach is also a dad now. And so Coach has maybe maybe a little more authenticity to him. And I think that's why I think Coach will vibe well with a player like Christian. I think he's going to be really like going full Coach in a way that will be enjoyable to watch.
Okay. You said he's going to put on a show. Any other thoughts on how he'll play the game?
I do think he will probably. So I think he's going to play up like some of the like Dragon Slayer stuff. I think he's going to go hard into that. I do think that he will probably look to bond with, some of those dudes. But Coach is also like fundamentally kind of a nerd. And so I think he will vibe with Christian and Rick. Coach and Rick, I could actually see like bouncing off each other extremely well.
Rick is a super easy guy to get along with.
Yeah. So I am kind of excited for like older Coach coming in. Really fun to see the Coach Ozzy rivalry, right? Like last time Coach won, I think you got to put them in some relationship again. And that will be
Coach
really
does not love Ozzy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Ozzy doesn't love Coach. I'm sure there's like some fun antagonism there that we'll watch play out. And again, like this is why like having relationships is fun. Like I'm excited to see Coach Ozzy. That's going to be great.
All right, we've got now Ozzy.
Speaking of,
yes. Who do you think goes further, Coach or Ozzy? If you had to call it in the air,
I think Coach. What do you think? Do you think Ozzy?
I think that Coach is maybe a little bit more that people look at him as he's harmless. What is he doing?
Exactly.
Like, I think if he's not going to take the reins like he did in South Pacific, like I think that this probably could be a little bit more like Coach in Heroes versus Villains. I don't know who the Boston Rob is on, like if it is a tribe of the returning fairs. I don't know who Coach follows around like a Boston Rob, but I think that was interesting to see him sort of like feeling like he was sort of like second in command to Boston Rob's leadership. It won't be Ozzy. He won't be following Ozzy around, but I wonder who that person is who's sort of like the person who's taking charge among the old school players if it is divided that way.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him connecting with, a Jonathan or a Joe. He obviously loves that. I mean, honestly, even like a Q and Coach. Like, can you imagine the lunacy of a Q Coach alliance? Like that would be very fun.
I could see him following Q.
Yeah. I could see, that would be a very fun duo is Q and Coach.
Yeah. Okay. So here's Ozzy. And how do you think Ozzy 5.0 is going to be?
Yeah. I mean, where was Ozzy in Game Changers? He kind of like, what happened with him? I don't even remember.
He
like,
really
he sort of like,
had nothing in Game Changers.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily like that he just came out and flopped. Like he kind of came out and was largely unmemorable.
Yeah. That was sort of it. And I think like Ozzy, does he have that drive anymore to kill it out there? And that's what I think is like fun about a lot.
I heard the drive is still strong with Ozzy.
Yeah, but do you want to sleep next to him? Do you, no, I mean, I don't know. He's probably a nice gentleman. Yeah.
Had worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's always fun to see Ozzy. It'll be fun to see like Ozzy and like competing with Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that they're sort of like different beasts of Ozzy versus Jonathan.
Yeah, but that's sort of like the old school. That's sort of the old school challenge beast versus like the new school challenge beast. And again, like that's what excites me about this cast is like all of the different like the little like connections, like the neurons, the dendrites, spanning the different senses.
Okay. Yeah. All right. There's Ozzy, and we've got Cirie.
Yeah. Cirie, obviously. So Cirie is one of the ones where I was like, when I first heard Cirie, and again, like this was back in the day when we thought it was all going to be new school and we were excited about that. Now we're not allowed to even pretend that existed online. But I was like, oh gosh, we really need to see Cirie again. Now I'm actually pretty excited for Cirie, to be honest. Like I've come around.
During this podcast?
Yeah, no, just over the last week. Now that I feel like a duty to defend everything about this. No, truly, like I do think it'll be fun. When it felt like, oh my gosh, this like season of new era legends is kind of getting replaced with these old school players, I felt sad about that.
You were sad that there wasn't enough new era at one point.
Well, there was a point when a lot of people felt that way. I had a tweet
and we were happy.
No, people were complaining about it.
Who was complaining?
There was a lot of complaining at the time, Rob. You maybe missed the complaining, but when they first announced that they were going to be bringing back, people like Cirie, and maybe it was like, I think there was like some interview with Parvati. People were like, oh my gosh, like me people. And like a lot of people like were responding to that. Like, yes, like, do we really need to see four-timers? Like, let's bring out Carolyn, let's bring out Jesse. Why do we have to see four-timers? But now that it's such a hodgepodge, we don't have Carolyn or Jesse. I'm excited for Cirie. I think it will be fun to see her work her magic.
But Cirie didn't take Carolyn's spot.
No, but I mean, just the idea of there was a moment in time when it seemed like, because of all some things that Jeff had said.
Yes. I feel like
y'all have erased this from your memories.
There was a moment in time where people were like, hey, it's sounding like might only be 3 or 4 people from the new era in season 50.
No, but before that, it was like, first there was a time when everyone thought it was going to be all new era people. Right. And then we were like, oh, wait a second. I'm hearing
Jeff said it will be people prior
from
to
the
season
past.
50.
And so we thought it was going to be like mostly new era, but with like Rick and Angelina. And then we were suddenly hearing about Cirie, and people reacted badly to that. You guys don't remember this, but it happened. I swear it happened. Mm-hmm. This is not a Kazam moment. Or what is it called where you like believe something was like Berenstain Bears? You know, you guys
the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect. This is not a Mandela effect. This really happened, where people were disappointed about these 4 or 5 times players instead of like hoping that the season was just 4 or 5 time players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cirie is back. First, we will see Cirie on Australia versus the World between now and then.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of Cirie, but again, like this will be fun. I think Cirie is great. She's always great TV. She always has a lot to bring to the season, and I do think it will be fun to watch her play.
Okay. All right. Stephenie LaGrossa Kendrick. Where are you on Stephenie?
I am pro Stephenie. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll like she's someone too. Like who we have not seen for a very long time.
Right.
And
a 4-timer.
Big legend in the game, but I did not feel like necessarily we saw like the full. I felt like there's more. I feel like there's about one more, right?
I mean, but that's like my argument with a lot of these people. It's like, okay, well, like let's bring her back out for one last ride. Like it's like the last Fast and the Furious movie. It's like, all right, we're coming back. We got for one more job. That's kind of like how I looked at Survivor 50 of like, okay, let's bring back all of these like iconic figures for one last job. And so Stephenie, we haven't seen her in 15 years on the show. I know people said, oh, well, she just did the Traitors, but that I'm fine. She was hugely popular. At one point in time, there was the most popular Survivor contestant. They built a whole season around her at the center of it. So as somebody who could come back and still be physical, I didn't have a problem with Stephenie.
Yeah. What about Rupert?
I don't know what kind of shape Rupert's in.
Where do you draw the line, though? You're like, I want Jerry, but not Rupert. Rupert's a bigger character. Well, Jerry and Rupert are both bigger.
Okay, but I'm telling you, like, I don't know, like, what kind of physical condition Rupert is in. Like, I don't know if maybe they can. Is he in Survivor playing shape these days?
I don't know, but I mean, like, it's not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But
you're upset you didn't know Rupert?
No, I'm just saying, like, you're like, I need to see Amanda. I need to see Stephenie. Like, you just need to, or I need to see Jerry. Is it just the cast of Heroes versus Villains running it back for you?
I guess maybe you ran into too many Heroes versus Villains. That could be the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, if they did the full cast of Heroes versus Villains again, I would actually, that would be hard to object to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except for Randy and Sugar that you already said.
No, I would love to see. Yeah.
All right. Colby Donaldson.
Yeah. Colby, again, like if you've got these icons, Colby is one of the show's icons, and he posted a picture where he looked very strong. He looked very buff.
Okay. I haven't seen any recent Colby photos, but if Colby's in, I mean, again, as somebody who's like was a titan of the game at one point in time, it was just the fact that the last glimpse we got of Colby, which was 15 years ago, was not necessarily like awe-inspiring of like, yes, more of that, please.
But how are you feeling that way about Amanda and Jerry when you don't feel that way about Colby?
Colby like was checked out. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how he gets more
Top
checked
Shot
in.
Back then, Top Shot seemed like it was going to take off. Now he hasn't worked on Top Shot for a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then finally, all the way back to the beginning, Jenna Lewis. I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about Jenna Lewis.
I don't really know Jenna Lewis that well. I feel like she, like I obviously watched the first season and then I like dipped out for a while and then I came back and caught up, but I never rewatched season 1. And so I don't have like a strong, like, I don't know Jenna Lewis in the way that I think a lot of the fan base knows Jenna Lewis, there's like a deep connection with her. What do you tell me about Jenna Lewis?
Jenna Lewis is her story on Survivor Borneo, and I think that she was sort of portrayed on Borneo to be that she's this, young single mom with 2 young daughters, and she's there to provide for her daughters. And that is like a part of her, But then on Survivor All-Stars, I think you saw probably a little bit more of the real Jenna Lewis, of the one who is like a little bit more of like she did the eco challenge. She is a extremely like tough, like New England person that I would not get into like a fist fight with Jenna Lewis. She is like a tough customer, and I think that people might not be ready for her if they think of her as sort of like that Borneo mom who didn't get her videos, who was crying. Like she is somebody who is ready to, you know, win this game by any means necessary.
Yeah, but but she doesn't just have like the hands-on experience to the game as it is now. I mean, Survivor back then,
I have no idea if she's watched Survivor in 20 years.
I mean, it goes so fast. Like old Survivor was so slow. It was just a totally different beast.
Yeah. And so maybe she's not going to know the right way to split the vote, or like when, like what it means to have the shot in the dark. But I think that she is going to be like playing hard. Like, I don't think that it's anything that she, you know, can't necessarily keep up with.
Yeah, I really though, because I do feel like, I mean, with Survivor, we always say that, like, or anything really, right? The best experience for doing anything is just doing that thing. And I really think that these people who have played New Era Survivor are going to be better suited for the people for New Era Survivor. If it is a 26-day season, which it is, right?
I'm sure she studied to.
Yeah, but you can't, like, the speed of it, I think, is where the New Era people are going to really excel.
We'll see.
Like, just having to like make those decisions fast. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. We got our Borneo representation. I would have preferred if it was Greg, if we could have gotten him, but there's Jenna Lewis. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, there you go. There's 24 people.
Wow.
What do you think of 24 people in 26 days?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy like a fox.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, here he is, Sunshine Stephen. Lots of great takes. I saw a lot of people agreeing with you today.
Only after I said how hurt I was that nobody was agreeing with me. Then they were like, you know what? Let's give him this. Let's give him a little bit of positivity. But also, like, truly, like when I saw this cast, I was like, those aren't exactly the people I would choose. You especially, you know, and Carolyn and Sean. I was very disappointed. I was so excited for Sean. Like, Sean has just felt like such an oversight for so long.
Well, it just seems like a tease because a lot of these people, like, you heard their names for so long.
And like Sean, you know, probably heard his own name. And can you imagine this poor guy? He's been doing this for 25 years now. He's been like being, you know, led along here. And then
just maybe like, had we heard like this is how it was going to be, but it did feel like to get this as the final cast as a little bit of a rug pull, where there was so many people that we had heard in the mix that people were getting excited for. And then to suddenly get we got these people who hadn't necessarily been really rumored to be in the mix. And then people that you weren't as excited to see. It feels like that we got something that was like looked one way online when we ordered it. And then when we got the thing and we opened it, it was not like the picture that we saw on the website.
I do think some of the, like, that was the problem, was the hype building around some of these people based on rumors. And then that kind of like the rug pull of that. I agree with you that was the issue, but like, where were those rumors from? You know, I mean, that wasn't, you know, why, you know, whose fault is that? It's not, you know, it's not Matt Van Wagenen wasn't out there tweeting about who he was looking at.
I guess so. It's like, we never told you it was going to be something you would like.
Yeah. But truly, like, looking at this cast, and again, like, I do think, you know, the 5 people, obviously you have to cast Riz God. He's the face of the show. But for anybody else, you know, I think that you know, for some of these other, some of the other people from this cast, like, yes, like, I think, you know, 48 was a very unpopular season. And then to just like be these guys, you know, all of them, it felt like a little bit much. But I do think they probably cast it in groups. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it'll be a fun season.
Yeah.
Don't curse it with things like game changers. That's me.
Hey, Stephen, you know what the secret to happiness is? Low expectations.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
like, if we, oh my God, it's going to be the greatest season of all time. You know, like, look, everybody, I know everybody is going to go out and play hard. It is not, I don't think I have complained too much about the caliber of the players in terms of like their gameplay ability. And I hope that everybody is going to go out there and play hard and really go for it. And hopefully we get a great season to watch. So,
you're just gutted that Jerry and Amanda aren't there.
I think it would have been fun as somebody who's like such a student of all of this. Like, I think that there's so many storylines that we just don't get because we don't get to see. I love the idea of so many people having like their last, this is the final.
They had that. That was 20. That was 20 for them. Like that was, you know, they got that. Like how many times do you get the last hurrah? Like how many celebrations do there have to be? That was the last hurrah. Do we really need to like have Jerry? Oh, Colby. Like how many times do we need that same like bit? Like, you think it's going to be any different this time? They'll be more tired.
Well, instead, you know, we'll get to see all of our favorites from the last 2 years come back. Yeah. All right. Stephen, great job here today, though.
This was very fun. You know, so yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun. I truly, like, I think like if we had done this podcast yesterday, I would have been a very different Stephen.
What happened? What was the difference?
I got like
Jolene coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sort of like you know, I was like, there was just so much. I was like, so much. At first, I was like, yeah, what the heck? Kyle and Kamilla and Joe from 48. What the heck is up with that? But then I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's saying the exact same thing. I've got to say something different.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that you did. And look, we'll all be coming around by February of 2026. We'll be so stoked for this whole thing to start.
Yeah. Truly. And I think 49 will be fun too, because there's no expectations for 49. We're all excited to see the Riz God, and then that's really it. And anything else will be the cherry on top.
Okay. All right, so let me tell you about what's coming up. But first, we've got it's Shane. Where's Shane Powers on this cast?
Yeah, where is Shane Powers? I wonder if he was is Shane. Them not bringing back Shane is like up there with them not bringing back Sean.
Okay, here's Shane Powers holding up his Jolene coffee. Get 15% off your first order of Jolene coffee with the promo code Woodbury. That's jolenecoffee.com. Let me tell you this. If this coffee is good enough for Shane Powers, it's good enough for you.
That's right. And Anthony Kiedis, my God. If Anthony Kiedis is drinking it, I want to
Shane takes coffee very seriously.
Yeah. I'm excited about this. I really it seems like they put a lot of work and a lot of care into it. And it seems like, I mean, you've had it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Survivor 25 greatest moments. I'm working on it with Mike Bloom. We will kick off the first episode, part 1 of 5, 25 to 21. The 25 greatest moments in Survivor history announcement that kicks off 1 week from yesterday on Wednesday the 4th. So be on the lookout for that. And then Sunday night, Stephen, over on our Patreon feed, we are going to have the Survivor 50 draft. We're not even waiting for the season to start.
Wow.
We're drafting.
Amazing. That's amazing.
That's going to be live.
You're not even going to know
night.
Savannah or the Riz God. You're not even going to know how they play. You got to do Riz God first, though.
All right. Well, let's see what the drafters do live on Sunday night at 7 p.m.
Do we have a winner pick? Should we talk about who we think is?
Yeah, sure. You want to do a?
Well, Sam told me I needed to do a fishy, and I think this is actually quite easy. I've got to give the preseason fishy to Mike. You know, his strategy of bringing back cast, he's been doing next level pre-gaming for this, bringing back people from his cast who are his allies to appear on HBO. That's unbelievable levels of strategic thinking. And so easy pre-game fishy for Mike White.
Yeah. Okay. Wasn't prepared to do a winner pick today, but I'll go with Cirie.
Cirie is actually a good choice. I can see it finally happening in 50. Who else? I kind of feel like it'll be someone from that mid 30s group. I'm not out on Rick Devens winning, but I think Cirie,
dun, 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 dun.
Mike White, Devens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Christian, I don't think Christian is really a likely winner. I think he is too kind to, I mean, Rick is also very kind, but Christian is so sweet and earnest.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what happens. And our Survivor draft will be live on the Patreon feed at 7 p.m. on Sunday night. We'll put it in the main feed in February of
Cirie's a good
2026.
choice. Cirie's a very good choice. She really almost won the Game Changers except for that advantage get-in.
Mm-hmm. She would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that advantage get-in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then we've got coming up after that, patron Q&A. Tomorrow I'll be live taking your questions. I'm sure we will have many, many questions about Survivor 50 and beyond. I will be live with the patrons. Rob has a website.com/patron, 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday. And this is it. We're getting down to crunch time here. We are retiring the $5 patron feed. We are grandfathering and locking in all of the patron pricing for existing patrons at the end of May 31st. So if you want to still get in as a $5 patron, you've got about 48 hours to do so. Otherwise, we are retiring the bottom tier, and the new bottom tier for new patrons will be the $10 tier. And of course, stay up to date with everything we have going on. WeKnowSurvivor.com. Stephen, Blood on the Clock Tower. We just dropped in brand new episode 4.
It's a great one. It is very fun. Like the comments have suggested people are very enthusiastic about this. So strongly recommend it.
You could see some Survivor 50 players.
That's right. There's a real Emily versus Christian vibe to this. So if you want to see those two face off head to head, like this is your opportunity to do it. If you don't want to have to wait a year for that.
Yeah. Okay. And then we've also got
Stephen
Fishbach's amazing book, Escape.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob, for mentioning that. Please, if you'd like to pre-order it, it's like, please do that. This is a great way to support me, and also to read a book that I'm really proud of. I feel like I keep on being like, oh, please support me. Like, this means so much to me. But also, I really like this book. Like, I worked really hard on it, so I think
hope you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen, if people screenshot their pre-order to you and then tell you their favorite Survivor 50 people, are you willing to then talk up their Survivor 50 pick?
Yeah, I'll hype up. If I get like enough of one person, I'll for sure I'll hype that person up. My opinions are fungible. Like, like I said, like yesterday I was more negative on the cast. Today I'm more positive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Check out Stephen Fishbach's book, Escape.
Yeah, Gary asked, are we trying to escape Stephen Fishbach? That actually you can go to escapefishbach.com. That's if you don't want to go to stephenfishbach.com. Escape Fishbach, where you will be inundated with more Fishbach. How ironic is that?
Okay. Wow. You can't escape Fishbach.
You cannot escape.
Even in the off season.
Yeah. Can I say something here about, so people are saying book tour. So I've been trying to plan some sort of like thing, some sort of like series of going around the country in the fall before the book comes out to sort of help, do viewing parties. And I reached out to Wendell Holland, who I've met like twice in my life. And I was like, hey, like, I'd love just like some of your like insight into how you got, playing the Price One events. I'm not imagining anything of that caliber, but like, I'd love to do something to help, promote the book and drive some sales and also like get to like, mingle with the folks. And Wendell was so extremely, extremely helpful, truly like who I've like, met twice, like corresponded with occasionally, text him every so often. Like he was like, yes, let me connect you with my contacts. Let me like put you in touch with these like venues,
wow.
Such like a nice over the top, like not over the top, like appropriate, like kind, helpful person. It really like, it really touches you. Like there's some people, who just like step up and who are there for you. Even if like, he doesn't, I'm like one of 700 subscribers. Yeah. He's a great guy. What great guy, Wendell Holland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephen, great job by you here today. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And we got plenty more Survivor 50 wall-to-wall coverage here on RHAP. Check it all out in our We Know Survivor feed. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We Know Reality TV.